Warning, we are not trained or licensed professionals. Do not take any advice that we give as official doctoral prescribed medical treatment. We only use the name as a means to appreciate cinema as a therapeutic device, not to be confused with drugs, antidepressants, or any other forms of enhancements that you might find in legal states. Please enjoy responsibly.
Additional disclaimer. If the film says we can say it too. So check the film rating, and that will be our episode rating.
So this week we're talking about Call Me By Your Name, which is one of my favorite movies of the last, one of my favorite movies ever, really. It's based on a book, which is also one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I would love to read it again. I would love to read Find Me, the sequel novel. I just haven't done that yet because I've been too busy reading Sword Art Online because there's so many books. And Dune, because I'm reading Dune.
That's a big feat, both of those.
Yeah. Well, Dune, even the first book is a big feat, and I have more to go, so.
Bigfoots.
Bigfoots.
Bigfoot.
If I really want to ascend to the Kwisatz Haderach, I really need to buckle down and understand the lore.
Of Bigfoot.
Of Bigfoot, yes.
Do you believe?
The lore of Bigfoot. Do I believe? Have you seen Harry and the Hendersons?
I don't think so.
So that's a movie where a family finds Bigfoot.
Ooh, and he's like a sweet cuddly guy.
Yes.
He's like a big dog.
I think it was 87, 88. I'm not entirely. Let me double check that. But yeah, it was a late 80s movie. It's pretty solid. I watched it in when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade.
Okay.
Of course, I typed in Harry Potter. I meant to type in Harry and the Hendersons to check the year. Yeah, 1987. I was right, but I accidentally typed in Harry Potter because that's my natural instinct.
If you type Harry, it's gonna be Harry Potter.
So I'm going to share one more book detail before we jump into the movie. So the book is from Elio's perspective, Timothee Chalamet's character, but the audiobook is read by Armie Hammer.
Weird.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He has a really great voice, of course, but it's weird to me that he's the one reading the story when it's entirely from Elio's perspective.
Yeah, that would kind of throw me off, I think.
From what I understand, the second book is it is a direct sequel, but it's more like side stories that happen in the middle of stuff. So there's one story of Elio's dad going on a trip, and then there's separate stories with Elio and Oliver, and then it's the last story's their reunion. Spoilers, sorry.
Oh.
Which I haven't read, and I swear, if they make that into a movie, they better play that song. Not Mystery of Love. They better play The Only Thing when they reunite, or at least during the end credits or something, because that song fits so well.
They gotta bring back the Sufjan Stevens.
I mean, me not having read the book, I know it'll fit well.
Yes.
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 And play Mystery of Love again, why not?
Yeah, just do it.
So the second audio, this is the book for the audio book for Find Me, is narrated by Michael Stuhlbarg. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but he plays Elio's father.
Oh,
so
okay.
since the chunk of the book is from his perspective, he narrates the second audiobook.
Okay.
Which again would be very nice.
Yeah.
I know we're jumping to the end, but that monologue he gives is one of my favorite movie scenes ever. It's so impactful.
I know, it's crazy.
There's no sound except for the ambient sound and the dialogue, and it's just it's so well made. Every scene of this movie is just so well made. I can't even put into words. It's just there's some magic in a bottle that just about every moment of this movie. Which is why I hope if they did another one, they would. Of course, I'm sure it would be great, but I don't know how they would recapture that magic.
It would be difficult for sure.
But I think they could do it.
I don't know. I don't think it would have the same impact.
No.
I mean, it couldn't really. But I'll go ahead and recap so we can dive in. Call Me By Your Name was released in 2017 by director Luca Guadagnino. It stars Timothee Chalamet as Elio, a 17-year-old boy living in Italy with his parents. His father is a professor and hosts an American college student, Oliver, played by Armie Hammer. Elio and Oliver meet and soon fall into a passionate summer romance that gives us all flashbacks to our first loves, while also making us dream about the Italian countryside.
To tie it into what I said earlier, of course, I'd be reading Dune, and Timothée Chalamet was going to be in Dune.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about how hyped I am for that because one, I don't want to jinx myself, and two, because we're talking about another one of his movies today. But I will say that, you know what? No. You know, if you've listened to enough episodes, I don't need to name the movie. You know what fucking movie I'm talking about. You know what movie I'm talking about.
Oh, no.
But after that certain movie left me feeling so numb, I genuinely didn't know if I'd ever get hyped for a movie again. And now the fact that I'm hyped for Dune is just amazing, and I'm loving the world, and like obviously for David Lynch, like the production design of that movie, but just the David Lynch movie was just my gateway into just like this whole new world of sci-fi, and I'm just got my fingers crossed. Like I know it's gonna be good because of the talent that's there in front of and behind the camera. And reading the book now, I'm like, the casting is so good. Like the casting is just like flawless. Like Oscar Isaac and Rebecca Ferguson as Timothy's parents is just. I mean, that's good casting anyway, but with the characters in the novel, it's like, oh my god. Fingers crossed, it's a great movie. Yeah, that's all. That's my little spiel on Dune. So I got it out of my system.
Praying for you. And the movie.
You can pray for me for other things. You don't need to. I don't get me wrong. I really appreciate your sentiment, but I'd rather you pray that my anxiety goes away rather than this movie be good, because I'm sure it'll be good.
Okay, I'll pray all for all those things.
Yeah. So Call Me by Your Name. We actually went and saw this in theaters together. For I think it was when my birthday was. It was around then, and the movie just left such an emotional impact. Even just on the first time watching it was just like, wow, that was a movie. That was a film. Yeah,
it's so artistic and beautiful and quiet and peaceful. I feel like this time though, I felt like it was a little long watching it. I just kind of got tired of the long shots, and maybe because I had seen it before and I like kind of knew the story, but the first time watching, I don't remember feeling like it was long. I think because I was just so thrown into the story and the beauty of the setting in Italy and
the acting.
And it was just like, oh, okay, I'm just here, I'm watching, it's great.
No, I feel the same way. I think the last time I rewatched it, I felt that same way. Like, there's movies that feel long, then there's movies that feel too long. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, because I think you couldn't have this movie go like fast paced or even in an hour and a half, because so the runtime is what, like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah, if you would have like smushed it in to a 90-minute movie, it would have felt forced, like Twilight. It would have felt like that.
Yes, exactly.
So I appreciate its length.
I agree, because like even though the movie has some moments where it feels long, like had you shortened it, you would have just something would have been lost. Because whether it be pacing or just the look of the movie, or like the median shot length, just like because that's really such a huge part of the movie, is just how beautifully it's shot and how you're just allowed to just sit in these moments and just gaze at like these picturesque like images.
Definitely.
Anyway, so is there anything? Please share your continuing thoughts on this movie.
I had a few new thoughts on this movie watching it the third or fourth time. When I was in high school and younger, we used to have this church camp in the summer. It was called Totus Tuus. It was a Catholic like vacation Bible school thing. It would be like a group of students, like college students, would travel around to different cities and towns and do like their whole program during like a week. They would go around Nebraska and stop at like a different town each week, and they would stay with host families. And my family hosted some kids a few of the times, and I remember like pretty much having a crush on all of the guys that stayed in our house. And like this time it really made me think about that and remember that, what that was like, because you get to like, it's weird because you wake up and you're like eating breakfast with them, and then you go to church camp. And it's like, I wonder if like what they would do if one of them was gay, or something, and they found out about it, or if they just had like some sort of relationship with one of the campers. Like, I'm sure that has to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because they always picked like really attractive people to do it too. So Oh yeah, so that was another thing that was I wrote down my notes and I didn't remember why I wrote this down. So one of the things they would teach us, like, I went when I was in high school, like a young high school, or maybe like 8th grade or something, and we would go off in our little girls circle, and the girl camp counselor would talk about like modesty and stuff, and she's like, yes, like keep your shirts, so like you put 3 fingers against your collarbone, and if it goes below that, like that's too low. And like as she was explaining this, her shirt is like, you can see like her whole cleavage and like everything. She was like, well, mine's a bit different. Anyway, all right.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, oh wow, okay. So then I wrote that note down, and I came back to the movie, and I kind of was experimenting. I was like seeing where about in the movie I had written down that note, and I thought it was at the point where Chiara comes by for Oliver, and she's wearing that like super low cut shirt, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what I meant by that, but I don't know what I was thinking. But I just remembered that it was from the Totus Tuus people. Anyway.
That's great. That's great.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It makes me very uncomfortable to watch how hot it looks in Italy, but it also makes me want to travel to Italy again. Like, it was unbearably hot when I was there, and it looks really, really hot and disgusting when they're there. Like, they're barely wearing any clothes all the time, and there's just sweat everywhere, and at every chance they get, they need to hydrate themselves and stuff. I'm just like, oh my god, imagine filming that. Ugh.
But it looks amazing, like, in the movie.
Yeah, it's like inviting and charismatic, even though it would be so hot. I don't know. I kind of got the feeling that I didn't like Oliver very much until like the very end watching this movie this time.
This time or every time?
I think just this time. Like, I feel like he was kind of rude and not understanding in the beginning, like when Elio's talking to him, or even just like being around Elio. I don't know. It's hard with this type of thing because it's like he's wrestling with his own feelings,
Yeah.
So I feel like he doesn't really want to admit it to himself that he likes Elio back, but Elio's like so there for it. He's just like, all right, come on, But then he just like shuts him down and tells him we can't talk about this stuff. But then he gets really sweet at the end. He's like, I'm so glad that we're together and everything like that. He's like, I had the, like, this is the greatest. Oh my gosh. When they're on the phone, when he calls at the very end and he's like, I remember everything. I was like, oh, I think that's the last line in the movie. Gosh dang, that gets me every time.
Gosh dang it. I literally just thought of that line like 30 seconds before you said it.
Oh, I love it.
Because I thought of that line and then I was like, oh man, that line is just so good. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I don't know because like, yeah, Oliver is kind of that way where he's very like distant, especially in the beginning. And I think that is, like you said, because he's wrestling with his own feelings and like whether, like how he feels about it. Because, the movie, first of all, is set in the 80s in Italy, but Oliver's like supposed to be like 24, I think?
Yes, he was supposed to be 24.
Yeah, because like, if he was 24 in 1980, whatever, 1983, 1984, then if he would have grown up in the 60s and 70s, his parents were probably extremely, I'm just hypothesizing, but especially if his upbringing was extremely homophobic or anything like that, then maybe that also could like tie into him feeling guilty about it, and then that's why he's wrestling. That's part of why he's wrestling with it.
Yeah.
Also, because Elio's like 17.
Yeah. Also that.
They're supposed to be 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't understand how that wasn't an issue in 2017 when this came out. Like, nobody talked about that at all. And I feel like if it came out today, people would be having a fit of like, he deserves to go to jail and shit. I don't know. I'm thankful that it doesn't really matter. Especially, also, it was in the 80s again, so it wasn't as serious of a thing. And it was totally consensual, so,
Yes, and their romance is just so sweet on both ends. Like how they love each other is just so It's so good. Because I was thinking, why not just make Elio 18 and he could still be with his parents, and it's like,
Yeah.
he just graduated, or is going to graduate, but then to avoid the issue altogether. But then I was thinking, like, I think he's supposed to be 17 because that's like, it's different for everyone, but that's like definitely an age where your sexuality and like how you define yourself that way really kind of builds, or to really, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but I'm just saying, like, I think in the general sense that's like one of those ages where it's like, you're kind of on the tail end of puberty and you're just discovering your own sexuality and how you feel about other people and how you want to be physically and romantically and intimately, and but yeah, I mean, that happens at 18 too, so why is he not 18?
Yeah, I think maybe, well, also it's in Italy, so I don't think they have as strict of laws as we do here, but I'm not sure. I'm just speculating.
Japan is way more lenient. It's like the age of consent is way younger than 18.
Right, yeah.
That's why so many characters in anime are under 18, because they can do that and they can still sexualize them, and that's like normal.
So weird.
In Japan. But it's weird over here because it's like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy the way, like, how we can think differently about all that.
It's just, like, interesting to think about and to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
They did that to stick to the novel, but I don't know when the novel was written. Like,
2007.
That was still recent enough where I think that would be an issue, but...
Okay, well, right now, currently, the age of consent in Italy is 14.
Okay. And you know what? In the 80s, I'm sure it was more lenient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that because I don't want to say it doesn't matter and come off as like because to me consent is everything, and you should both be consenting adults 1001%.
Mm-hmm.
But for this movie, like, can I say it doesn't matter and that doesn't come off the wrong way?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely irrelevant there and at the time. And so, yeah.
And it's irrelevant, I guess, because it's more about the connection that they share, which, like I said, is just so well written and so well portrayed, and you really feel the connection they have, especially, like you said, like right at the end. It's just like the most heartbreaking thing.
Yeah. Do you think that Oliver had other gay relationships before Elio?
I want to say no. I don't remember if the book goes into detail about that. Maybe the second book does, but I want to say no because on the one hand, I guess that's more romantic that Elio was like the first man that he was with, but it's also creepy because of consent. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like he's more experienced, but he's older, so he probably would have had other experiences.
Right, he could have had experiences with women too, and that's why he's more experienced. Mm-hmm. What's her name? The girl that Elio also is like dating?
Marcia?
Does he sleep with her first before he sleeps with Oliver, or is he with Oliver first?
He's with Marcia first.
Okay. I thought I was remembering that correctly, but like, so I guess technically Elio has had experience also, but
yeah,
not a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they have sex, and then he and Oliver have sex, and he like totally ghosts Marcia, and then
yeah.
But one thing I realized this time around was, well, I was thinking watching it this time when she comes up and gives or tells Elio that the book he gave her was really good, and she says that she's not angry with him, and they agree to be friends forever. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if I would feel that way if someone just ghosted me after doing that and like breaking my heart and everything. But then I realized, oh, she probably came to the realization that he loves Oliver, and there's a whole thing with that. And so she probably is like, okay, that's fine. I didn't realize that before.
You took the exact words out of my mouth, because that is 100% how I feel. Because if somebody did that to me, I would not be as understanding as she was. I mean, I would like to be, but I don't think I would be, because we're not rational humans, because humans aren't rational. But because we're emotional, we're not rational. But yeah, that is such a sweet moment between the two of them.
Yeah.
When she's like, I really loved the book, and then they agree to be friends, and then you really feel like they will be. It's not just like an awkward like, okay, we'll be friends, and you never talk to them again. Like, you feel like there's a genuine like connection there that can sustain.
It's like after in Lady Bird when she finds out Lucas Hedges is gay. Like, she's upset at first, but then she she feels really bad for him, and then they become really good friends.
And then she goes out with Timothy's character in that movie,
Uh-huh.
and then he's the opposite of Elio in this movie.
I know, he's so mean.
Like you can't stand him.
He's the worst. Oh, he seems a little too perfect in this movie. Like or Oliver asks him like, "Oh, so what do you like to do around here?" And he's like, "Oh, read books, transcribe music, swim at the river." Like, okay, Mr. Perfect. And he knows like 4 languages.
I love all the locations in this movie, but I love the part when he takes Oliver to his little secret spot and says like, "This is where I go when I want to think," and then he's like, "I've read so many books here."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have a spot like that, but I don't read books there, but like I have a spot like that, and like that always resonates with me. Because like I'd ride my bike to go there, and it's like a naturistic place with like greenage and water, and like it's pretty similar to that. So like, yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
Like I felt that when he said that. Also, I love that they ride their bikes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know it's set in the 80s, but the movie it makes the movie feel more timeless because like people still ride bikes, people still read books. Like those things haven't gone away and shouldn't ever go away.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, definitely.
And since it's the 80s, and since there's no cell phones, it's like, and since there's not really any scenes of them watching TV, to my knowledge, to my recollection, you know, like that's what I mean. Like there's nothing that dates the movie other than they're talking about you know, the time period.
And I think the one time they are watching a movie, it's like an old black and white movie. I think it's the parents that are watching it, though.
Yeah. I think like he just comes, like Yo-Yo just comes into the room or something.
I think so, yeah, something like that.
The scene with him and his mom in the car, it's like 30 seconds, but it's so impactful.
Aww.
Like right after Oliver leaves, and then Elio's just sitting in the car, and his mom's just like there's no dialogue, but it's so amazing, just that one shot.
Yeah, he has a great home life.
Yeah, he does. In the last scene when they're on the phone, and then he says like, you know, like my parents, like they know about us, like that's just like the sweetest thing. That, like both his parents are just like, you know, yeah, of course we know, like of course we like you know, we would love you two to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no direct antagonist in this movie, and I think the movie's much better for it because I think the movie would have, in my opinion anyway, suffered a bit if there was just like a standard person like who didn't want them to be together because he or she was like homophobic or just like, you know, just like an asshole. Yeah,
totally. That's true.
It feels so refreshing that that's not the movie that was made.
Yeah, I never really thought about that, but that really does make a difference. It's easier to watch and it makes you feel good and
yeah, it's visual poetry. This is one of my favorite looking movies ever. Like it just looks, every shot just looks so like picturesque, and like just all the locations of Italy, like in the nighttime, in the daytime, inside, outside, just like every shot is just set up so well. It's like how do people make movies that look like this in every single shot?
I know.
I can't believe it. Like to dedicate that much time to it, like that's one thing that scares me about directing is like I don't know if I could dedicate, like I would want to, but I don't know if I could actually, like my brain could process that.
Yeah.
You know?
There's just so much you have to think about for every shot.
Yeah, everything. You think about everything.
I was trying to like interpret, like what each shot meant this time around, and I was like, wow.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
It's incredible what they do. Also realized this, that like at the end of the first act, it's when they go on that trip with his dad and they go unsurface the statue from the water. That's kind of when they're both realizing that they like each other. So it was like your feelings are coming to the surface just as they are pulling out this naked man from the surface of the water. And it's like all about sexualization and feelings and emotions and rising towards the surface. And I was like, damn, that's good.
I greatly admire your knowledge of symbolism. Like, damn, I didn't even realize that. That's genius. That's amazing. I don't know if you were just bullshitting or if you were serious, but like that's a genuine, like,
oh, no.
That feels like intentional.
Oh yeah.
Like that feels like that's the subtext, that's the symbolism.
For sure.
And I'm just like, holy crap, that is amazing.
Well, thank you.
And I just want to watch every movie with you, just so you can point things like that out to me.
All right, let's do it. So another thing like that was like when they're in the plaza after Oliver goes and gets cigarettes from the store, and then Elio's kind of hinting at like the way he feels.
Such a good scene.
They're so far away from each other and separated by all these, all the things in the middle of the plaza. They've got like a little fence and then a little grassy area and then a huge monument. And then Oliver's all the way on the other side of that. And so it's just like, representing all the things that are in their way and why they can't really be together forever.
I don't remember if this is the case because it's been a few years since we saw it in the theater. But I wonder if I might be misremembering if Oliver's audio, if the two audios of them talking were on different sides of the theater in that scene.
Oh, I don't remember.
Does that ring a bell?
I don't remember.
I could just be misremembering, but like if they didn't do that, then whatever, like that. Like who am I to tell you to do better? But like, but if they did do that's so brilliant because like it also adds to the spaciousness because like you're in the middle, so like you'd be in the middle where all that stuff is in the middle of them, in between them, and then they're on either side of you.
Yeah, I bet they did. That makes sense.
If anybody can confirm that would be great.
Yeah.
I think they play Love My Way twice. I think they play it when Oliver's dancing in the beginning and Elio's watching him, like, and he's like dancing with everybody, and then they're like, he's such a good dancer. And then they play it when they're by themselves on their trip at the end, and then they see that other like couple at the car, and then they're just like dancing, and I just love that moment so much. Mm-hmm. Like when they're in like the empty, I don't know what they're under, if it's some kind of like bridge or like just like, but whatever it like, there's like in that like hall, and it's like echoing, and they're just like spinning around.
This one? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh.
And then like the other couple has like that song on the radio, and then they're like under the alcove, like hearing the echo of it, and they're like spinning around. And then Elio gets sick because mm-hmm. and then they say goodbye, and then your heart just like shatters. Then he has the scene with his mom, and the scene with his dad. And then the phone call, and then he sits by the fire, and it's just like, okay, you got me the first time, like,
right?
You don't need to keep doing this to me, and then they just keep doing it.
I know, the whole like last 20 minutes are just heartbreaking, but also heartwarming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, with his dad, heartwarming.
Yeah, that scene with his dad, like I said, is just so. It's so moving, it's so impactful, it's so well acted, it's so well shot. I just love the fact that like somehow it's written in a way where like his dad's reaction to like to knowing about him and Oliver is like the perfect like reaction that you would want to have.
Yeah.
And like if you were in that situation, you would want your parents to have. Mm-hmm. But then it's still written in a way that's like realistic, Yeah. Because you could say it'd be more realistic for your parents to not understand that, to understanding that kind of relationship. But then the fact that his dad is just so level-headed and just like calm the whole scene and just like speaking so openly and honestly, it's just it's so impactful. So
he says, like, I came close to what you and Oliver had, but never quite like what you and Oliver had. Do you think that means like I'm not thinking that he's saying he had like a gay relationship. I'm thinking he's just looking at their relationship and like seeing how amazing it is. But then I look at like him and his mom or his mom and his dad, and I feel like they have like the perfect relationship. So I'm wondering like, yeah, maybe that is, I don't know what he meant by that. And I think it's supposed to be ambiguous like that. And then especially when Elio says, does mom know? What is he asking? Is he asking, does mom know that Oliver and I had a thing? Or does mom know that you and her aren't the most perfect relationship that you've ever had, or something like that?
That's really interesting, because I always took it as, does mom know about Oliver and I? But then later on, I know time has passed, but then when he calls Oliver on the phone, he says that, they know about us.
Right.
So that's actually, I never thought of it like that. And who knows, maybe if I read the second book, maybe it's in there.
Maybe.
Because one of the sections is about his dad, and it's like he's the main character for a little bit, so.
Yeah, maybe it goes into more depth about that.
I think the book is pretty much verbatim the same scene as in the movie, and that's why it's like,
okay.
So I have it 2 feet away from me. I can open it up and see if there's let's see. I'll read you what the paragraph is in the book, because it answers our question.
Oh.
I wanted to ask him how he knew, but then how could he not have known? How could anyone not have known? Does Mother know? I asked. I was going to say suspect, but corrected myself. I don't think she does. His voice meant, but even if she did, I am sure her attitude would be no different than mine.
Okay, so do you remember in the movie, this caught me totally off guard this time. It's right at the end. When is it? It's after Oliver leaves and Elio's like thinking about their relationship, and he has these flashbacks, but they're all in like negative color, like bright reds and oranges and blues instead of like looking regular. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
I was watching, I was like, what the fuck? Well, maybe like my app screwed up or something at that time, but I don't know. I'm gonna go look back at it because I was like, what?
It's funny. Did you watch it on Amazon?
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because there's been a thing lately where some movies have like had scenes just randomly in negative.
Really?
Like
oh.
Yeah. So
maybe
that could be
happened.
an Amazon. I will find my copy somewhere and I will see if it has. I'll find a different platform like iTunes or Vudu or something, whatever I have it on. And then I will check right now and then we can find out. So is that like right after he leaves on the train station?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I'm skimming through now.
You know, the last time we did this was when we were watching Blue Velvet. We wanted to find that screenshot. Well, you found that screenshot.
I forgot about that. Oh, man. Oh, wait. No. Oh, there it is.
What's the time code?
1 hour, 50 minutes, 38 seconds.
No, that's on my Vudu too.
It is?
Yeah, what the hell? I do not remember that.
Me either.
That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, it like threw me off so hard.
I don't know how I feel about that, like just seeing it random. Like, that's weird. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, I guess because like it's him dreaming or I don't know. Okay, one more thing. I was just thinking a lot like, why do we love this movie so much? Why do we feel a certain way when we watch like gay movies? I mean, for me, I think it amplifies what I felt in like an early relationship, like when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Just the new feelings of liking someone and trying to figure out if they like you too. And before you kind of knew how to communicate such things. I think it really just amplifies those emotions in these types of movies, same-sex movies, mm-hmm. because it's kind of forbidden, or especially like period dramas where it is like forbidden to have those relationships. And
mm-hmm.
of course that makes it all the more enthralling is if it's secretive and you have to hide in plain sight and things like that. But I feel like it's just kind of throws us back into young love days where you had crushes and you had to find little subtle ways to let them know that you like them, and then you talk and laugh about it later, like, haha, remember when I touched your shoulder and you cringed really hard, like I was trying to tell you I liked you or whatever, So that was kind of what I thought about.
You're talking about that like it's a past thing. That still happens.
You got to learn how to communicate.
Yeah, can you teach me that?
Yeah, you say, hey, I like you, do you like me? Then they'll say yes or no.
That's not subtle enough. That's too direct.
No, it's not.
That's what you say? You say, hey, I like you, you like me, question mark?
No, that's not what I say. But it helps in the long run if you are more direct.
Yeah, that's true. I think of every single time I've liked somebody and I'm like, I wish I was just more direct. Like literally every single time I'm like, man, if I was more direct, I would have saved myself so much time.
Yeah, because even they say in there, they're like, we wasted so much time. What can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? I think we would be remiss because I think anyone who listens to any podcast about this movie is going to want every single podcast to talk about the peach scene.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I really don't have anything to say. But I feel like if we didn't mention it, somebody would be like, why didn't you talk about this? Because it's like kind of the famous scene.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I almost forgot. Thank you. Yeah. So I don't really have anything to say either. It's just like, yep.
No,
it happens.
It's there. It's a scene. It happens.
It's a thing,
Yeah.
Haven't you ever done something weird? I'm sure you have.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, what did you watch this week? Unless you had something else about the movie.
Nope, I'm good. So I watched In the Heights, the new Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. on HBO. It was pretty good. I liked the story and I liked all the dancing. But I just don't really like the operatic style of it, where it's just kind of like singing words the whole time. I kind of like when the musical is like, here's a dialogue scene, here's a song, but it's kind of like an opera where they just kind of sing everything.
Okay.
So I wasn't like a totally huge fan of that, but it was good.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about musicals too. Is like I like when there's dialogue. When it's like the song's just a part of it. It's not the whole thing.
Yeah. So after that, I watched Willy's Wonderland, which was terrible. It's on Hulu.
Who's Willy?
I don't know who Willy is, but he's like, Willy's Wonderland is like this place like Chuck E. Cheese, and they have arcade games and food and like pizza parties and
interesting
animatronic things. And the movie is about the animatronic things like murdering people, and Nicolas Cage is the only person who can stop them.
That sounds great.
It sounds great, but it's so bad. Nicolas Cage doesn't have any dialogue.
What?
Nope. He doesn't say anything.
What?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he say anything?
I don't know. He's just like this badass who comes in and destroys these robot machines. And it's like this group of teenagers. He tries to help them, but they all end up getting killed. Except for this one
that sounds
girl.
Awesome.
I know. Doesn't it sound really
awesome.
good? But it was just horrible to watch.
It sounds like Sleepwalkers or Con Air, where it's just
right?
like, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing.
It sounds really good. That's why I wanted to watch it. But
dang,
I pretty much hated the whole thing.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. That's really unfortunate.
Oh gosh, the cinematography in it is so bad.
We spent the most episode talking about a movie with good cinematography.
Yeah.
And here's one that's not good.
There's no like character development or any sort of character to Nicolas Cage's character. It's just a badass that comes in and rips these machines off. Like we don't know why. There's no why or reason, or the reason that they stay doesn't make any sense. So yeah. So then I watched Richie Rich after that, the Macaulay Culkin movie from '94, and that was one of Noah's childhood favorites. So he wanted to watch it, and it was good. Not much to say. It was entertaining enough.
I have not seen it.
You should watch it.
I know that there's a Christmas sequel.
Really?
Just like Home Alone 3, they recasted Macaulay Culkin because he was busy or too old or something.
That's terrible.
But I haven't seen either of them. Wait, is that Richie Rich or Dennis the Menace that had the Christmas sequel?
Oh, I don't know.
Let me look. Yep, because it's Richie Rich's Christmas Wish.
Oh my gosh.
And then Dennis the Menace has Dennis the Menace Strikes Again, and then a Dennis the Menace Christmas. See, I thought the Christmas Dennis the Menace was the second one, but I was wrong.
Oh, there's 3 Dennis the Menace?
Yeah, and they're all different actors, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're all made at different times. Because of course there were the original series way back in the day. Then there was like the 90s movie and then like 2 sequels.
Oh.
Probably not going to watch any of those.
Yeah, don't watch that.
For all I know, it could be a great trilogy.
I started watching Dennis the Menace not too long ago, and I couldn't handle it. I was like, this is so, way too childish. Like, not even nostalgia. It was just, like, stupid.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed Richie Rich.
Yeah, Richie Rich is good.
Macaulay Culkin made a lot of money from it.
Did he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's deserved. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing I watched was the new Conjuring movie, The Devil Made Me Do It, on HBO. It's also in theaters right now. It was pretty good. I like all the Conjuring movies. I love Ed and Lorraine Warren stories, and they're like the best duo ever. It wasn't too scary, but it had some like dark satanic stuff in it, and it was interesting. It was good. And then I also wanted to say that I met someone at my work who also has a podcast just like us. I heard him talking about it. He was like, yeah, it's just me and my friend, and we choose movies each week and talk about it. And I was like, wait.
That's us.
Are you talking about my podcast? And he's like, no, I'm talking about my podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's it called? And it's called We Minored in Film. It's my coworker Jacob and his friend Logan, and they're really funny. They put out episodes every week, so go check them out. I have them on Apple Podcasts. I think they're on Spotify too. Let me double check.
Yes, they are on Spotify.
They are. That's where
I've
you
listened
listen to
them
them.
on Spotify.
Okay.
Yes, they are great. It would be great if we got to collab with them.
That'd be
sometime.
so fun.
There'd be 4 of us. There'd be 2 Jacobs.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay. No, their podcast is really entertaining. Definitely go check them out.
And we haven't done a single movie the same. They have like 25, 30 episodes. We have like 30, we have like what, 40, 45 episodes. None of them are the same. None of them are about the same movie. That's crazy.
It's great.
Yeah.
And you know what? If we all do make an episode together, that would be great, because then we're finally talking about the same movie.
So what did you watch?
So the first thing I watched was this anime called Bloom Into You. It is a Yuri anime, 13 episodes. It adapts about half of the manga, and I don't know if they're going to do season 2 because it came out in 2019, and then COVID affected everything. But it was good. I looked up where the story goes just in case they don't make any more, and it's a solid, satisfying ending.
Okay. Where'd you watch it?
I watched it on Verve, which is like an anime streaming service.
Okay.
I wasn't as enamored with it as I thought, but I still greatly enjoyed it. And I wanted to see more. So, because the relationship was just starting, which was the nice part, was like the relationship takes such a long time to progress. And if they do make a season 2, I would like to watch it. And then Tuin showed me The Adventures of Tintin, which I had never seen also.
I haven't seen that.
So another Spielberg off the list. It was solid. I liked it. There's a Spielberg one shot in the movie, and it's incredible. It's like 4 minutes long.
Oh,
and it's all like motion capture, so it's insane.
Wow.
And then Toon and I watched The Director and the Jedi, which is the feature-length documentary about the making of The Last Jedi. 2 of the most wholesome things I've ever seen are in this documentary. The first one is Rian Johnson talking about how great Carrie Fisher is, and Carrie Fisher saying that was my best work, like when they filmed a take or whatever, which is so sad.
Aww.
And then there's a scene where Rian Johnson, like, it's like his birthday, and then he gets into a bouncy house and starts jumping up and down. And I'm like, that's me. Like, I love that. And like I love Rian Johnson already, but like now he's even cooler in my mind.
That's awesome.
I'm excited for the Knives Out sequels. That's the closest I could probably come to watching Star Wars, and like, it was good. I'm glad I saw it.
Okay.
Because neither of us had seen the whole documentary, so we wanted to watch it in full.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, did he have to force you to watch that, or did you want to watch that?
No, he didn't force me to watch it.
Okay.
I was slightly iffy, but I was like, you know what? We're just gonna talk about how great that movie is. So, But I watched another Yuri anime. So it's Kase-san and Morning Glories.
Okay.
It's like 65 minutes long. So it's about just these 2 girls just living their lives and dating, and it's like the first scene, or like the first minute, is like when one confesses her feelings to the other, to Kase. So like that's already out of the way, and it's just like them just like bonding.
Oh.
And it's just the most adorable thing. I wanted more of it, because also this doesn't adapt the full manga, which is why people say the manga's better, I guess. Even though I don't really read manga, because just because I sounded like I had like some hidden reason, and I'm like, no, I just don't.
Like, no, it's not my thing.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. I read the first volume of Your Lie in April, and that's the only manga I've read. And then I was like, I don't need to read the rest of it. 1, because I didn't want to get my heart ripped out again, and 2, because I'm just like, it's fine. It's the same as the anime. It's the exact same.
Oh, okay.
So I can just watch it in motion and feel lazier, but also I can get them done faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was really solid. It was really adorable. The main, not Kase, but the other main character, she was, I forget her name. I'd have to look it up, but she's just so precious. And just like I just want her to be happy. And then their relationship is really cute. Yui is her name. And she's just like she's so precious. There's also a Yui in Sword Art Online who's also super precious, but I won't say who she is because it's a spoiler.
Oh.
Characters with that name are just precious, I guess.
I guess.
Like somebody's gonna be like, oh, there's like an anime where like someone named Yui is like a yandere, and I'm like, no.
Uh-oh. Thus far.
So that's all I watched. What do we watch next time?
This week we're going to be watching Silence of the Lambs. It is the 3rd movie to win the Big 5 Oscar Awards. And we've already talked about the other 2. It Happened One Night and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So go home and watch all of those if you haven't already. Thanks for listening to Film Therapy. You can follow us on Instagram at Film Therapy Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Film Therapy Podcast. Email us, filmtherapypodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time. Later.